and in funny news today, I posted about this on Twitter today. The California Senate approves unemployment payments for striking SAG-AFTRA writers and actors, because California is going to California no matter what you think.
Should I just join SAG? And
I hereby go on strike from
money?
Timcast, and I am demanding the state to pay for it.
That's actually
I
crazy,
kind of
though.
sympathize with the writers and the strike
tell
for
us why.
sure. Because how it worked, from what I understand, just from my limited understanding of talking to some of the people that were that are on strike, is they used to get royalties whenever these movies or TV shows would air on television or from DVD sales or anything. Well, a lot of media now is digital, so it's going through these streaming services, so they aren't actually getting paid the same amount of money. So the idea is
because
just
there's no ads on them.
Is that why?
Well, because if you're like your residuals and stuff when it's playing on TV would be based around the ad rates for the show when it's on air.
Sure.
Right?
So it's essentially these people just aren't getting paid the same rates, so they want to negotiate something where they're getting.
That does not mean the state bails you out to do that. That does not mean you make taxpayers who are not striking.
Well, I think that what he's defending is the spirit of the strike.
The spirit of the strike, and then obviously a lot of these actors and people that are going in with it, or like California, they're just basing their solidarity, with the writers.
Well, the spirit of the strike is stupid.
You know what? I think that you're totally right. I think you're totally right that the industry changed and that the studios didn't
you gotta pay the writers something.
How they pay them based on the change.
But that's not the only thing they're talking about here. They want to choose how the writers want to have a say over how many writers are hired on each project.
It's more than just pay issues.
It's way more than that.
It's also about affirmative action and identity stuff. But like
at the end of the day, none of that is the state's responsibility or the taxpayers' responsibility.
No, nobody thinks this is a good idea, Brett. But like, I agree with everything you said there. But at the same time, if all of their shows that they're writing are really bad and a lot of them are really
you're just saying that I don't like the media, therefore they shouldn't get paid. Well, the
what
producer's
I'm saying
the one
is,
that's hiring
the
and approving
shows are
everything they're writing.
legitimately not as good and are providing less value to the studios. They're losing money. The movies that they write and the shows that they're writing, they're losing money.
Sure.
On the whole, but they want to get paid
If you want good
more.
writers, you have to pay them more. You have to pay them more.
The good ones do keep working.
Yeah, the good ones are still working right now.
The good ones do keep working. The problem here is that they did not. This is not Hollywood putting them out of work. This is them putting themselves out of work because they don't feel like
they're going on strike because they don't feel like they're getting paid enough. And when you look at what some of these people were being paid, it was very little money, especially for living in California.
All of the people, all of the taxpayers who go to work and don't like their jobs but have to go to work anyways because it's their job to do it, are now paying through their taxes for these people to complain about how much money they're making.
Yeah, if you want to get on the state, for supporting them with taxpayer money through unemployment, I kind of get that, right? I think that's a whole nother conversation where there's a lot of, where I see the sympathy there. But I'm saying I sympathize with the writers from, you had this really good job that was paying XYZ amount. The media changes, and then kind of through like a loophole, you're now getting cucked out of your paycheck because it's now gone digital.
That's their agent's job. That's their lawyer's job.
We can blame it on whoever you want, but now it's gotten to the point where they feel like they got to take action into their own hands and then go on strike, which I respect. If you're a bunch of workers and you want to take action to your own hands with this way by literally shutting down Hollywood and going on a strike, I respect that. I think more power to you.
I have no problem with them going on strike. I have a problem with some dude who has a job that he hates, who goes every day, pays his taxes, goes home, takes his meager earnings that he gets to keep because California taxes at such a high rate to pay for the food for his family, is now using his tax money is being used to subsidize this.
Brett, nobody thinks that this is a great idea. Yeah. Nobody thinks that this is a great idea. We're talking about the strike in and of itself.
Yeah, I feel like we're talking past each other a little bit.
I have no problem with the strike, and I hope that it continues. I hope it goes on as long as
because you just hate all these movies.
Yes.
So this is this is what the guy said. He says, let's inject a modicum of stability into the conversation, Portantino, a Democrat, said on the Senate floor on Thursday. When somebody goes on strike, it's not a romantic thing. It's hard enough to go through it. Senator Brian Dahl, a Republican, argued that the bill would essentially require businesses that pay into the unemployment system to subsidize labor actions. This is the most crazy thing I've ever seen, he said. This is a labor dispute, not an unemployment dispute. This is a horrible bill. The opponents have argued that the unemployment is designed for workers who lose their jobs, not those who are withholding their labor as a bargaining strategy. The chamber has suggested that the bill may conflict with federal law, which requires the claimants are able to work, available to work, and actively seeking work. Right now, they're not actively seeking work. They're purposely withholding work from these people because they want 20 writers to a writer's room, all of which have to reach a certain number of demographics from various affinity groups. I don't have any. I don't have any sympathy for the writers or Hollywood because they're such. They tend to be so awful to the audience most of the time. And I think that
I feel like that's not a fair argument. Your argument is I don't think they write good movies, therefore they shouldn't get paid. But when they were getting paid to write the same shitty movies before.
With your contracts, it's your job as an independent contractor to hire an agent who will work viciously in your favor to get you the contract you feel you deserve. And if the market doesn't allow for that now, then that's an imbalance between the studios and the writers. But you're never going to be able to legislate that away because the studios are the ones that put all of the risk into this. So when these movies are made, what they want is they want more say over how many writers go into a project. They want a say over how these scripts get written. And they want to assume none of the financial responsibility if they fail. And that's a problem to me. I have no love lost for the studios either.
I mean, do writers get paid more if the movie does well?
Yes,
I mean, isn't every movie designed in a way, though, where, they're kind of avoiding... they're avoiding saying they make profit. Like almost every movie, from what I understand, likes to say that they barely made or it was a slight loss. For tax reasons, right?
It depends on the type of movie, right? So if we're talking like a big budget motion picture, you can brag about how much that movie made, and that's how you get a sequel greenlit, right? So you say, look, this movie made this much money, therefore it's very good. Therefore, we're going to make more of them. Now, there's other movies like the mid-budget.
That scares me every time.
You'll get used to it. The medium budget action movies were never expected to make a ton of their money at the box office, but they would make up for it and pay VOD sales down the line. Or back in the day when you go to the DVD, when you go check the DVDs, or a lot of times those $5. Ever notice like the same 100 movies in those $5 Walmart bins? Those movies are actually extremely profitable because they've been there for so long. They make money on the back end. But it's your job as an independent contractor to negotiate in your contract. Look, I want this much. In the best example was there was an actor who was a voice actor in The Lion King, and they offered him $10 million up front to do the role. He said, no, I want a percentage. He's like, I'll take this medium amount up front. I want more on the back end. He makes hundreds of millions of dollars now because he chose the long-term gain over the short-term paycheck.
Sure.
And when these streaming services are doing it, streaming is all losing money now. They want money from an industry that's losing. So, all of these streaming services, we're going to be talking about it later in Warner Brothers Discovery. They're losing subscribers. They've stalled out. There's no ads running.
But isn't that, which is why saying that's responsibility on the writers? Isn't that responsibilities on the streaming services end?
To what?
To be able to stop funding so many projects that you can't actually pay your staff what they would have been paying before.
No, because output has now become more important than quality. And when quality goes down and output becomes more important,
that's very interesting.
Then, because they have to keep up with schedules, right? So you have to have an insane amount of output. So you've got your writers on Breaking Bad. You've got your writers who did Better Call Saul. You've got your writers who do the big name projects. Those guys are going to always make money. Those guys will always make money because their name denotes that level of a paycheck. They're going to be able to bargain. Like, look, this is the show I did. These were the ratings for this show. I want this much on my contract. I want this much in residuals on the back end. If you are a lesser known writer who has none of the credibility, none of the gravitas that person has, you just don't have the bargaining power right now. And
No, but isn't there like writers that were on Breaking Bad just on Twitter like even a couple weeks ago saying that they made $30K
there was
from Breaking Bad?
There was the one writer who did for just season one, and then was phased out in season 2. Right. So, and at the end of the day, it's market force, right? If the point is that writers and producers are working together, they want these people want larger writers' rooms. So one of the things they're asking for is they want to be able to make these writers' rooms huge. They want more people hired for each project. What's going to happen then? You're only going to have so much of a budget. Your salary is going to go down. So they want the salaries to go up while the amount of people employed to go up, which means the studio has to assume more risk for a project that has a track record of making barely any money.
This topic is boring. Let's move on and talk about Chick-fil-A.
All right, let's do it.
Boring to you?
One thing I do want you to expand on a little bit, because I just thought it was an interesting comment, was when you say quantity over quality, is that just because like people binge watch shows, so they're just trying to get as much out as possible?
There's just an insane, like, okay, so back in the day, you had your 4 major networks. You had cable, you had HBO, you had Showtime, you had Cinemax, and then you had AMC and FX and a couple of cable stations, right? Now, all of those are still there. You've still got your cable stations. You've got your network television. That's the place you want to be. If you want residuals, you want to be working on one of these procedurals where when they play in reruns, you're getting ad revenue sharing in your, so like there's a way to figure out your residuals at a higher rate because when it plays in a rerun, it's playing on network TV where there's actual ads.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What is the point of a residual on a streaming service? Would you get a residual if you rented a movie from someone?
I don't know. No,
so,
I guess not.
So, like when you talk that, then yeah, it doesn't actually make sense. The business model has changed and it's going to price out everyone, but the studios are taking the loss right now because they're making insane amounts of content. COVID meant that they all tried to muscle up and like double their output because everyone was stuck at home and watching stuff. And now everybody has dispersed. The streaming services have all stalled out. The subscriber counts are at the peak of where they're going to be. The growth isn't there. Disney's already plateauing. You said Warner Brothers Discovery is has the largest cancel rate out of any of them. So they're losing money. They're not pulling in new subscribers, which means that the revenue isn't going up. They're expanding projects. Where does the money for the raises come if there's no money coming in from new subscribers? How do you get new subscribers? You have to write better shows. Saying pay them more money to write better shows doesn't work. They need to prove they can write a better show first before you get there. So when we get season 2 of the Dahmer Show, or like when they make the sequel to the Dahmer Show, or Emily in Paris, or any of these shows that actually, or Wednesday, those people will get raises because they did good work in season 1 and drew numbers. It won't happen for the people who make a show that nobody watches. I like this show called Archive 81. I think I'm the only person in the world who watched it. Do I expect the people that made that show that nobody liked to get a raise when nobody expanded or got it to season 2?
No,
like,
I don't know.
It's just
yeah, no, you wouldn't get a raise if your show doesn't blow up. Yeah, for sure.
And when you really think about how many shows actually blow up every year, 4, 5?
Not many.
Not many. But the thing is, like I said, there's too much output right now. So it's just it's a labor dispute. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.